What's the backstory with Carlos Hardy? Yeah.
Hello, welcome to What is the Backstory? I'm Carlos Hardy. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's get into it. Today we're talking about R. Kelly, R&B's one of R&B's biggest singers, and we're going to talk about his problematic career, but also we're going to talk about his appetite for underage girls. Later on in the writer's room, I wrote something about R. Kelly's jail presence, and it should be quite entertaining to say the least. R. Kelly is one of the most recognizable singers in the world, not just the United States, but in the world. He has sold 40 million albums. He has 3 Grammys. For those of you that don't know, R. Kelly started with R. Kelly and Public Announcement, which was an R&B group in the mid to late 90s. The group disbanded in the late 90s, and they kind of went their separate ways, and that was that. R. Kelly had a solo career that started mid 90s, and he began to skyrocket to success as a solo artist. R. Kelly has written for some of the most amazing artists, for Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Usher. I mean, the list goes on. Celine Dion. The list goes on and on. And people know his penmanship, and they understand his unique artistic value as far as the industry is concerned. But behind the scenes is where all the problems lie. R. Kelly's first brush with controversy was when he allegedly married then 16-year-old Aaliyah. Aaliyah, of course, died in 2001 in a plane crash. But back then, a lot of people knew this rumor to be true. Her family denied it, his camp denied it. But that staple has stayed with R. Kelly for the duration of his career. So you pivot from there, and you move to further in his career and all the allegations and misconduct issues that has come across this man over at least 3-4 decades over his sexual encounters with underage girls. This has been a problem not only in the Black community, but this has been a problem nationwide, globally. And it's really unfortunate that it took the Me Too movement to actually bring R. Kelly to his reckoning, which is being in a prison cell now after 1 year, waiting to go on trials in 3 different states. Unheard of, right? No, not with R. Kelly. What is it about geniuses and their right to take control of the powerless? We had it with Woody Allen, we had it with R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, Roman Polanski. I mean, the list goes on and on. Most of these men who have had these extraordinary careers have somehow been involved in allegations where they either sexually harassed, conducted misconduct on women, kids. It's really a bad situation, and I think we have become numb as a society to this preying on the innocent, the powerless, and that's something we have to get out of, and we have to get out of it quickly. So I'm going to share something with you a little bit personal. I understand the victim. I understand the child who is being what we call groomed to partake in either sexual acts or anything that is against their will. I had a family friend who groomed me for maybe a couple years, and I saw what this family friend was doing. I saw through it, and I did not allow myself to go further and further into that dark abyss. I only told one person about this sexual abuse, and of course they didn't believe me, and I just left it at that. But it was something that you have to understand as a child. As a child, you want to be loved, You want to be sheltered. You want to feel wanted. You want to feel like you are accepted. So all of these things plagued me as a kid. So I understand when little boys or little girls get caught up in that world, thinking that their predator or the family friend or the family relative or the neighbor has their best interest at heart, and most times they don't. Being groomed to be abused is something I never thought would happen to me, because I was strong. I was a curious kid, but at the same time I was very a stand-up kid who good grades and in education and had a small family unit, but at the same time things got out of hand rather quickly. I was abused twice, and once that happened, something sparked, something clicked in my head that this is not supposed to happen. I remember I was like 8, 9, 10, something like that. And once I figured that out, I pivoted from that and moved into what I call a safe space for myself. And it's really unfortunate that a lot of kids don't have that vigor or that will, I should say, to and it not being their fault, they don't have that will to pivot like I did. And the predator, R. Kelly, these people, they pry on that. They pry on you not having your father there. They pry on you not having your family or your friends close. They separate you. I remember being separated from my cousins so that this could happen. But like I said before, I don't blame myself. I don't blame other people. It's just an experience that happened to me a few times, and then I began to get over that. And as I gotten over it, I began to understand that I'm bigger than that. And that's what I would want from any victim, to understand you're not the act. You are bigger and you're more than that. So with R. Kelly, of course, he's sitting in a jail cell for a year now. I want to ask you, as maybe a devoted fan of his music, do you still listen to his music pending the investigation, understanding the controversy around him? If you do, just put a comment in there beneath. I just want to know how you feel, how you're taking in these allegations. And I really don't think it's a black thing that the media has gone after him. I really feel like he is a predator, and what's done in the dark always comes to the light. And I'm happy that he's where he is at this moment in time, because as a kid, most kids don't get second or third chances. I got a second chance and got away from it and began to rebuild and build my life and not handcuff myself to that situation. And a lot of those girls are not going to be able to do that. They're going to be damaged mentally, psychologically for a long time. And I just hope that they can find solace in the inner part of themselves and be able to escape from that dark part of their world. And I'm not even going to get into the parents part of it, because parents, of course, play a major part in your kids being affiliated or being groomed by these people. Men, women, it doesn't matter. But it's a tough thing. It's really a tough thing for parents. And parents, I would say to you, just be supportive. Just be supportive and understand what has happened, but also believe your kids. R. Kelly is a brilliant artist on one hand, and on the other hand, he is a convicted criminal, okay, for his misconduct, sexual charges. How do you separate the artist from the criminality of what has happened? How do you do that? And if you do, let me know how you do it, because do you still listen to his music, or do you burn all his music up? Because his music provides memories and provide that nostalgia that we all crave. It's a point in time of our lives that we absolutely love. So how do you separate? For me personally, I can do that. I'm not gonna lie to you. You can be as harsh, you can be as vile as possible, uh, but I know how to distinguish the art from the music. And to me, those are two different things. It's sort of like the Bill Cosby thing. I'll actually be doing something on him in a couple weeks. But it's sort of like the Bill Cosby thing. Most of us recognize Bill Cosby, and others recognize Dr. Heathcliff Huxtable, and we know how to distinguish those two. You feel a certain way when you're watching the film or listening to the music, even Michael Jackson's music, or watching Woody Allen movies. You feel a certain way, and you can leave behind the bad part or the salacious part of their controversial careers and focus more on their art. And I think that's really, really important to do. And everybody, to each his own. You're either gonna separate the two artists, or you're going to join them together, and you're going to have an outcome that you probably not gonna like. Because I doubt you're gonna be throwing away all of your Woody Allen movies or your Michael Jackson albums or your R. Kelly albums. You're just not gonna do it. It's just that, you may not eagerly seek out the music, but you will keep the music. Let's just be real. So it's up to you to separate the artist from the criminal aspect of their lives. I truly feel that every person have to make up their own mind on who they want to support. And supporting R. Kelly now, I think, is a really a bad thing. At some point in time, the predator has to be brought to his knees. He or she has got to understand that they have caused a lot of harm to a lot of people. It doesn't only affect the victim; it affects the victim's family, the community. It's a really bad, unfortunate situation, and I really hope that the victims come through okay, and understand that they're bigger than what has happened to them. That was a lot, right? So let's go into our writer's room. I wrote something that I think could be daunting for a lot of us. It could be harsh, but in my creative writer's room, I tend to veer left and veer right and back. I tend to do a lot of different things, but hopefully entertain you with this scene of R. Kelly in his prison cell. Take a look. It's after midnight in the Bocan County prison. Every inmate is locked away in their tiny cells, never to be heard from again until the following morning. A cell that's slightly bigger than the others sit at the end of the surprisingly peaceful corridor. An unpleasant glow from a hanging spotlight blades from outside through the cell's miniature window. The faint glare provides enough light into the cell for late night reading. Inside the tight cell are a few articles of clothing neatly folded on the small table. A spotless steel toilet sits in a nearby corner. Perched on a stack of books on the opposite end of the cell is a Golden Grammy Award. The sounds of a faint melodic chant cut softly through the silence. Singer R. Kelly lays restless across his cot, jogging his mind for lyrics. His soulful, deep brown eyes glares at the ceiling, hoping that the perfect verse to his song would emerge. But it never comes. His singing elevates to the heavens. His cell has now transformed into his personalized recording studio. His steel-toed boots repeatedly tap up against the wall, helping him maintain his rhythm within the song. That sounds nice, but it's missing something. Mr. Kelly springs to his feet, grabbing his pen and paper. He frantically jots down the lyrics. Suddenly, there's a light tap at the door. The brief knocking startles him. He quickly swings around. His tone dims with a morsel of angst at his core. He whispers just enough to hear himself. "Who's there?" No one answers. "Is that you?" he says, moving towards the door with care. A sharp clink sound unbolts the door. Mr. Kelly has served an entire year in the cell and can sense freedom at his fingertips. His liquid brown eyes keep a close watch of the door. Mr. Kelly places on his jacket for warmth, zipping it just below his chin. He tiptoes to the door, gently turning the knob. It opens. The singer takes a long, exasperated breath. Opening the door, he skims the area for guards. It's too quiet, which places him on edge. Mr. Kelly presses his body up against the wall, hoping to stay out of sight. He shimmies down the corridor, periodically piercing down at the ink scribbled on his hand. His intense glare is fixed on the map drawn on his palm. Moments later, Mr. Kelly's feet land at the door of a janitorial closet. He cautiously opens the door and darts inside. He instinctively but quietly pushes aside a cleaning supply cabinet. Underneath is a man-made pit leading to the outside world. After several hours, Mr. Kelly's body spits out of a tunnel on the other side of town with an unflattering splat. The smell of waste won't escape his nostrils. He gasps before inhaling the fresh air of freedom into his lungs. Up ahead, an outdated four-door Volkswagen wheels in his direction. He quickly removes his orange jumpsuit, tossing it into the vegetation. He takes his chances, throws his body in front of the car. The car politely slithers to a stop. The window descends, giving Mr. Kelly a view of a woman in her late 40s. Her butterscotch skin flourishes under the moon's glimmering brilliance. "Are you okay?" the woman says with a bout of concern. "I'm fine. Can you give me a lift? My car stopped a few miles that way," Mr. Kelly explains, pointing up the road. The woman curiously checks her rearview mirror. "I didn't see a car back there." Mr. Kelly groans displeasantly. "Look, are you going to help me or not?" The woman swings around, noticing her two daughters, silently pleading for her to drive off. "Wait, I know you!" The young woman excitedly hops out of the car, embracing Mr. Kelly in a hug that is meant for a loved one that you haven't seen in years. "You're R. Kelly!" "Look, it's dark. I'm hungry. Can you help me?" The overzealous woman searches every inch of Kelly's face. She's in desperate search of the man she's loved as a teenager. "Sure. Hop in." Minutes later, the car is all but silent. The hum of the engine keeps the awkward ride eventful. Mr. Kelly frequently glances into the side mirror, admiring the woman's young teenage daughters. Feeling a tad repulsed, the two girls move closer to one another. "Okay, get out," Mr. Kelly demands. The woman stops the car. "What? Man, we're in the middle of nowhere." "You'll just slow me down." His softness soon hardens, morphing into a less pleasant version of himself. "I said get the fuck out." The woman stops the car, tears streaming down her face. "You can't do this. Come on, girls." The woman opens the door and exits the car. The singer she has known all her life has transformed into an unrelenting criminal right before her eyes. "The girls, stay," he says with a sinister presence. "No, these are my babies. Let them out. Let them out!" The woman imposes, slapping her foot on the deserted road. The mother aggressively yanks one of her daughters from the car. Mr. Kelly yanks the second girl back into the sedan before pulling away. The woman screams in despair as her daughter vanishes in thin air. Welcome back to the backstory. I know you're probably thinking, "Oh my God, he's at it again." Yeah, R. Kelly is at it again. I wrote that because I don't trust. Once you've committed a crime like that, a sexual misconduct, rape, whatever it is, crime, for me, my belief is that you'll do it again. So I wrote that scene in the occurrence that it can happen again. And most times, as I was mentioning in my reviews, I know it was happening again with other kids in our neighborhood. But as a kid, I wasn't the adult, so I didn't know what to say, how to say it. And I just kind of left it there and just left it alone. But it's a scary world, and parents, I truly believe that it is your duty as a parent. If you're a parent out there, it's your duty to make sure your kids are okay and to talk to your kids and communicate with them about what's going on in and out of their life, because that's how you find the truth and that's how you figure out what's happening with your kids. Let's get on something a little more lighter. The tip of the day. As a writer, I want to make sure that you're having fun. Tip of the day is having fun. Okay? You want to always have fun when you're writing. I know that you're going to have a lot of opinions and a lot of different type of objections to what you're writing, whether it's a poem, it's a script, it's a book, whatever it is you're writing. It's okay. Write what you want to write. There's no wrong answers. However you decide to write your literature, it's up to you. It's on you. And you get to dictate how you feel about it. Of course, people will give you their opinions about your writing and what you should have done and what you should have said and how it should end it, or how it should be, how this character should be. But it's on you as a writer to have fun. Writing is about fun. For me, writing is a blank canvas, and the art of it is being able to fill that canvas with so many colorful elements that it's gonna make a host of people have different perspectives about the canvas. That's the whole point of writing. So if you're going to elicit an opinion, an objection, or anything, just know that you're doing a good job. So remember, tip of the day: have fun. I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel, because you're watching it. I mean, I see you. You're watching that channel. Just subscribe, and you'll get more colorful stories. And so thank you so much again for coming to my channel. And until next time, leave a comment. I'm Carlos Hardy. Thanks.
What's the backstory with Carlos Hardy? Yeah, yeah, yeah.